Good morning and welcome to this week's episode of Iconic Freedom, The Formula. Here we set a standard for accountability and responsibility, the ownership of your choices and your outcomes and everything that follows. Let each care for self and all will be cared for. So when I talk about the formula, we talk about that periodic chart that you see on the various websites that this is posted on, where you create those elements that come together and bring harmony to your life. And if one of those elements in your life is not working, then you extract it and you reevaluate it and, again, bring that harmony to your life. There's a moment, quiet, almost imperceptible, when your internal authority returns home. It's not the kind of authority that argues, and not the kind that proves, right? And I would say it's not the kind that explains itself into exhaustion, like you see some people do. But it's simply the kind that stands. This episode lives there. For this really long time, I think authority for the individual has been outsourced. And it seeks approval and consensus and being understood and being validated. When authority lives outside of you, every choice requires your defense. You explain and justify, you rehearse conversations that never happened, you prepare arguments that, for people that didn't ask. And it's not because you're weak, but because authority hasn't come home to live within you. Sometimes, after the silence, after the standing, after you stop explaining, there's no announcement when it happens. There's no victory lap or declaration. There's just a noticeable absence. You stop asking for permission, and you stop feeling the need to explain. Internal authority doesn't push back. It doesn't correct and it doesn't convince. It chooses. When it's your internal authority, when you are solid within yourself, it chooses and then it responds to reality as reality unfolds. And that's the difference. When authority is internal, choice no longer seems, or at least no longer needs, a defense. And you don't, harden from it, and you don't resent, and you don't carry an edge. You simply move in alignment of your integrity and character, and you let outcomes inform you. The outcomes they're just more information to help you in the loop of now what's the next decision, now what's the next choice, and what's my ability to respond. That responsibility stops feeling like a heavy weight, because resentment was never about responsibility. Resentment was about carrying choices that you didn't actually make for yourself with accountability. Resentment happens when you don't take on the ability to respond and own the accountability of the outcomes and everything that follows. People will say, I resent that person or that situation. It's because you didn't take on the ability to respond. You didn't take on the accountability. I own what the outcome was. This is where accountability will change shape for you, because you realize that it's no longer a punishment or pressure or something assigned by others. Accountability becomes the personal development of self. I chose this. I'll respond to what follows. I can adjust if needed. No drama, no story, no collapse. And this is the formula. It's bringing all of these elements together to create this harmony in your life. Decision, choice, responsibility, accountability, not performed, not explained, not announced, but lived. And when this authority returns home, explanation, it just dissolves. It evaporates. And it's not because you refuse to explain, but because there's nothing left to explain. There's nothing left to prove. The body knows, the nervous system settles, the mind quiets, and what's left, I think, is very simple. Calm, clear, and resolved. What is left is the harmony, that byproduct of having brought order to your life. And you bring order to your life when you take on the responsibility and the accountability of each decision and each choice. And this is the point where your life will stop feeling adversarial to you, where you'll stop feeling like I keep running into a wall. I keep making the same decision that brings me the same results in the pattern that is not good for me. And it's not because others have changed. It's because you changed. And because you're no longer negotiating with yourself. You're no longer scamming yourself, trying to avoid reality, trying to avoid the reality of the choice that you're making. And I guarantee when that happens, everything in the universe will literally start to reorganize. Look, this isn't something that happens overnight. I've been on this journey for almost 30 years. 30 years, half of my life. And I can tell you that, like the graphic that you see in this season's episodes, like grains of sand. Each one is another choice, another decision, another ability to respond, another accountability of the outcomes. And it keeps building and building. And as the sand, as those choices fall into that hourglass, that aggregate is your life. And it can be so much more than what you think this moment is. And I will tell you that it requires one thing of you: to say yes. Yes to the universe, making the changes that you know you need to make, that you know you want to make in order to have the life that you want. It doesn't mean the life that you want of, making millions and billions of dollars. No. All that will come. If that's what your destiny is, all that will come. But it's bringing that peace within you to the point where that peace within is the lottery ticket, in a sense, that you've been looking for. Your inner authority guides and moves you like the compass that belongs only to you. You know what's right for you, and you don't need to make others wrong to do something that is right for you. You can stand in the silence, you don't need to explain, and you know that life is going to support you no matter what, and that everything you choose is going to be better than what you ever thought it could be. Okay, hit that like button if you would. Share it with your family and friends. You never know how it might support them in their endeavor. All the fun links are below, and if you're inclined, feel free to subscribe on Buzzsprout. I am on X and Truth Social, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. The link to my newest book, The Christmas Cookie, Stories from the Counter, is listed below. I'd be grateful and honored if you chose to pick up a copy. It's a collection of heartwarming stories that I quietly say unfold the very principles that we talk about here each week. And until next time, stay sharp, stay sovereign, and as always, remember, let each care for self, and all will be cared for. Make it a great week.